The first thing he heard wasn't a door slamming shut. It was a grown man whispering, "Fresh meat." 16-year-old Dante Ruiz hadn't even taken his second step onto Rikers Island before realizing the place didn't care how old he was. The air felt colder than the early morning fog outside, and the hallway ahead stretched like a tunnel no kid should ever walk through. Guards didn't look at him like a teenager. They looked at him like another problem to manage. If stories like this fascinate you, hit subscribe, because this one only gets darker. Dante had been sent here after a fight in his neighborhood spiraled into a robbery charge. His family insisted he was innocent, but the court didn't wait for innocence. They waited for trial. Rikers waited for bodies. Officially, teens were supposed to be separated from adults. Unofficially, the lines blurred fast. The day Dante arrived, 2 adult detainees were being escorted past his intake cage. One stared at him, slow and deliberate, like selecting a target. A guard noticed, and did nothing. Inside the adolescent unit, the noise hit him, metal clanging, voices arguing, a TV blasting a game show no one was watching. Older teens, some already hardened by years inside the system, tested him immediately. "Where you from? Who you with? Who you know?" Wrong answers got kids beaten. Right answers gave them temporary protection. Dante had neither. The first night, he watched another teenager get jumped for refusing to hand over his commissary snacks. It lasted maybe 7 seconds, but the fear lasted hours. The guards walked past like they didn't see it. The kid on the floor held his ribs and stayed quiet. Here, bleeding was normal. Reporting it was dangerous. By the end of the week, Dante understood the rule no one wrote down. Rikers didn't break you with force, it broke you with permission. Permission for older detainees to run the unit. Permission for guards to forget a camera angle. Permission for a teenager to disappear into a place built for men twice his size. The worst moment came on his 7th night. Dante woke to the sound of keys and low voices. 2 officers ordered him out of his cell, telling him he was being temporarily reassigned. He followed them down a hallway that felt darker than it should have been. Another teen, the quiet kid from the dorm, the one who always kept to himself, was already there, shaking. The sergeant in front didn't explain anything. He just opened a steel door and gestured inside. The room was smaller than a classroom closet, with a single cot and no window. "This is where you'll stay until things cool off," the sergeant said. "For your own safety." The door shut before Dante could ask what things meant. He heard the lock click. Then the light shut off. And that's when he realized there was someone already breathing in the dark. The breathing in that pitch-black room wasn't angry or loud. It was steady, almost too steady. When the lights finally flicked on hours later, Dante saw him, a thin 17-year-old named Malik, eyes sunken, knuckles bruised, staring at the floor like the world had already ended. Malik didn't speak at first. He just sat on the cot, legs pulled up, rocking slightly. The isolation cell wasn't meant for 2 people. It barely held one. No cameras. No windows. Just walls that never forgot what they saw. Dante tried to make sense of it. "Why are we here?" he whispered. Malik finally looked at him, and his voice was so hoarse it sounded scraped out of his throat. "'Cause they don't want nobody else hearing what happened." Every word tightened Dante's chest. Malik explained in broken pieces. A melee had broken out in the adolescent unit, one of those planned accidents where a group attacked a teen who refused to pay protection. Malik said he saw officers letting it happen, even blocking the exits. One guard stepped in only after the kid stopped moving. "And they blamed me," Malik said. "Said I started it. Said I swung first. He didn't. But the paperwork said he did. And on Rikers, paperwork decided your reality." The longer they talked, the more Dante realized the room wasn't about punishment, it was about silencing. Malik kept repeating that a federal monitor had been touring the jail that week. The last thing the staff wanted was a teenager telling an outsider that guards encouraged violence. "This place don't run without secrets," Malik muttered. "You keep quiet, you survive. You talk, you disappear into these walls." Over the next hours, Dante felt the pressure building. Time didn't pass normally in isolation. The air felt stale. The silence had weight. Malik tapped his fingers against his leg in a rhythm that wasn't random. It was counting. Days. Incidents. People. He whispered names. 2 kids they sent to the hospital last month. 1 kid they put in solitary for 90 days. Another who begged for mental health help and got pepper sprayed instead. Dante could tell Malik wasn't lying. The fear in his voice was too specific. Then the shift changed. New officers arrived. Footsteps echoed to the door. Dante expected them to release one of them. Instead, a voice behind the steel said, "We're moving one of you." Only one. Malik stiffened. Dante did too. In Rikers, where you were moved, and why, could decide your entire future. Keys jingled. The lock turned. But the door didn't open. The officer seemed to be reading something. A file. A report. Then he sighed. "Take the quiet one," he said. They met Malik. But when the door cracked open and the officer pointed, his finger didn't land on Malik. It landed on Dante. And Malik's expression, fear mixed with something that looked like disbelief, told Dante one thing: whatever was waiting on the other side of that door wasn't safer. It was worse. Dante stepped into the hallway with his heart pounding so hard it felt like it shook the floor. The officer didn't speak as they walked, just kept a firm grip on Dante's arm, guiding him past units he'd never seen before. The deeper they went, the quieter the jail became. No shouting. No movement. Just the low hum of fluorescent lights and the weight of something unspoken. He was taken into a small interview room. A table. 2 chairs. A camera bolted to the ceiling, pointed directly downward like an unblinking eye. It was the first camera he'd seen all day. The officer left without explanation. Minutes passed. Then the door opened again. This time, a woman entered. Plain clothes. ID badge clipped to her belt. Soft but alert eyes. She looked like someone who had seen too many broken stories and was still collecting them because nobody else would. "I'm Investigator Hale," she said. "I'm part of the team reviewing juvenile safety on the island." Dante didn't know whether to feel hope or fear. She sat across from him. "I need to know what you saw. And what you've been told not to say." Her tone wasn't threatening. It was weary. Honest. The kind of voice that wanted the truth but already knew it came at a cost. Dante thought about Malik. About the kid who'd been beaten over snacks. About the guards who looked away. He thought about the room with no cameras, no windows, no light. He thought about the whisper, "fresh meat." And then he thought about his mother, who still believed the system would treat her son like a child. So he told the truth. Not loudly. Not bravely. Just plainly. He explained the fights staged by older teens. The extortion. The guards who forgot to intervene. The beatings that were written up as horseplay. And the way Malik had been blamed to hide an officer's choices. Investigator Hale didn't interrupt. She didn't blink. She just let the truth sit in the room like something dangerous. When Dante finished, she leaned forward and lowered her voice. "You're not the first kid to say this. But you might be the first who said it directly to me." Then she slid a card across the table. "This meeting never happened. If anyone tries to move you again, ask for me by name." Before Dante could respond, the door opened. A different officer stood there, stiff and annoyed, as if the interview had disrupted something he didn't want disrupted. Hale stood up and faced him. "He's to be returned to the adolescent unit. No isolation, no temporary reassignment. He's now under federal review." The officer didn't argue, but his eyes made a promise Dante didn't like. Back in the unit, Malik was gone. Dante didn't know where they'd taken him, and no one volunteered answers. Guards barked orders. Teens stared. Life returned to its brutal rhythm. But something had changed. Word spread quietly that investigators were asking questions. That files were being pulled. That cameras were suddenly being checked instead of ignored. And for the first time since he arrived, Dante felt something unfamiliar in his chest. Not safety. Not comfort. But possibility. He didn't know if it would help Malik. Or him. Or the next kid dragged through those gates. But he had said the truth out loud, and someone had listened. And sometimes, in a place built on silence, that was the first crack in the wall. If you think this story was intense, the next one will leave you speechless. Subscribe for more true crime stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat.